Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo live stream where we talk about photography and come together as a community and share this passion we have. And always, as always, I like the audience to drive the conversation. So if you have any questions or topics you want to talk about, I'll be happy to answer them best I can or give you my opinion. Um, that said, I also like to share the things I've been up to this week and um, as always, I did go out and do some photography. I just got back this morning actually from a shoot, and uh, and I went out. I think Friday. I did some photography on Friday as well, mostly sunrise type stuff and a tiny, tiny bit of street, if you want to call it that. So I'll share some images there. And with that said, let me go ahead right to the chat section and see what's come up. I see Henning's here and Darko's here. Good morning, and Anthony's here. Good to see you. And Robert and Larry. Good to see everyone, and thanks for the audio video check. Well, let's see. See if there's any questions or comments here I need to start with. It says here from Anthony. It's not coming up on the screen, but he says the OM1 20 megapixel sensor pixel density is similar to an 80 megapixel full frame sensor. I think that most will see a resolution bump is the current sensor that OM might get an extra 4/20. An off non-switch shutter release on the next flagship. Big help to feel the shutter swing. Yeah, we talked about that in an email, and we talked a little bit about that last week as well. But you know, I've always said that OM Systems, Olympus, they've been designing their cameras, with a certain design philosophy, almost to a fault, in that they got this little, like this power switch is over here on most of their cameras. And really, they should just integrate it into the shutter button. Not so much on this OM3 maybe, but like on their OM1. And then they can assign or put a button here instead for something else. And that will also give the shutter button a little more feel when you're wearing gloves. For those of you that shoot with gloves on, sometimes, the new design, which was introduced with the M1X, doesn't have the shutter, dial integrated with the shutter button. They moved the dials away from the shutter button, so now the shutter button is very smooth. Gosh, I don't have my OM1 right here, but it's harder to feel, right? So I think that's one design philosophy they can get away from. It kind of harkens back to the original film cameras where the power switch was on the left, and they've just never walked away from that. And let's see. So you're welcome to show the one comparing the difference between the shutter releases showing the issue. Yeah. So I'm not going to dig up that photo because it would take longer than me just grabbing off the shelf. Here's my original EM1. I thought it'd be faster this way. There it is. So God only knows where I put my OM1. It should be right here. Let's see, the original EM1s up to the EM1 Mark III had the shutter dial integrated into buttons, so you could easily feel where the shutter button was, right? But with the OM1, they moved the shutter dial down here. And that was introduced actually in the EM1X, and everything has followed since then. So it made for a much smoother shutter button. If you're not wearing gloves, I think it's actually a little nicer. But what I suggested was that they move the power button here, leave the front dial down here, and reassign the switch that's normally here to something else. right? Why does this have to be the power switch, right? Okay. Anywho, God, where's my OM1? I just was using it yesterday. It should be right here on my desk. That's really strange. Anyway, I'll find it later. Darko says rumors also have a possible Z500 variant, and it works as a pro sports wildlife body. In considerations of Nikon, not sure if X-Speed 8 will pair with the new stacked APS-C sensor more than 20 megapixels. I don't know. Anthony also says, I want to see OM system move forward. I'm very pleased with the Mark II, but I don't think introducing a new flagship with the same megapixel is going to count. Same megapixel count is going to fly, especially when trying to track. Time will tell, but I seriously doubt they're going to move away from 20 megapixels, even with their next camera. We'll probably have to wait another 3 or 4 years minimum. A Z500 at 3,000 plus US dollars might be too expensive for me. Might switch to OM1 used with these 75 to 300. Yeah. I don't know why a Z500 would cost 3,000 though, when a Z6 Mark III is selling on sale now for 2,000. And that's an extremely capable camera. On another note, I rocked the D80 on a street photo walk yesterday. 12 kilometers of street snapping filled with a 32 gig card. Had fun and good exercise. Yep, that's what it's all about. Also, your D600, set it to monochrome the way I like it. For me, CCD sensor, and the D80 is a little easier to use in monochrome, but I'm still tweaking the D600 CMOS. Yeah, don't overthink it though. You know what I mean? I guess, let me rephrase that. It's fun to tweak things. That's why we do this, right? And good morning, Robert. Missed the meetup events this weekend. Surely you had fun photographing the sail ships. I did, and I'll share some. I didn't go with the group yesterday because I went online and all the parking garages were full. And street parking is a freaking nightmare. So, and that said, it's going to be extremely crowded. So I didn't want to get into that. So I just went this morning at like 5 a.m. just before sunrise, and it was empty, right? So, and I think I got really nice shots of dawn and sunrise coming up over the ships. Unfortunately, the ships were all docked, so the sails weren't out. And the only way I'm thinking about, they're gonna sail out tomorrow, but I don't know exactly what time, right? I asked one of the people there that were on the ship. They're not sure either. They know they're leaving tomorrow, but they don't know when. And good morning, David. Good morning, Jeff. Marcia, good to see you. If you have any winter gloves, try wearing winter gloves and try to feel the shutter release on both cameras. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious the difference. Lots of Vice burgers around this year. The northern tip of Great Northern Peninsula in the island of Newfoundland. Okay. I'm not sure what a Vice burger is, but got the new mattress. Let's see if you get credit. Oh, thanks. I have no idea. And I see like gross dollar amounts on my affiliate on Amazon, but I don't necessarily always see what the individual items are. Unless somebody buys like 20 of them, then it'll say, okay, somebody just bought 20, but individual items I don't normally see. Okay, very good. So let me go ahead and share a few images. I've posted a few to my Flickr and Instagram already. But this one I kind of liked. This, I went out with my OM3. This was this morning, the OM3 and 8mm fisheye Pro. But I was not able to capture the entire, because I was standing right next to the boat. And if I stood back a little bit, you'd walk behind some benches and things. So I really couldn't get a good shot of it from any further back, really. So, and you'll see that in another shot. So I took 5 shots with the fisheye, starting on the left side and then moving over. And I also wanted to make sure I got the mass in the scene. And then I stitched it in Photoshop, and then did some editing to make it a little bit punchier to my taste. So this came out pretty good. And this was after sunrise, because you can see the sun is just above the horizon. So this is probably right around 6 in the morning. And then, so like this is a single shot from the Fisheye Pro lens. This is all I could fit in. So that's how I had to do 5 shots and then stitch them together later to get this shot. And I think this came out pretty good. Here's another one. This one is, I did handheld high-res shot mode for this one. And a nice effect of that is the water is a tiny bit smoother, but you also get this motion blur in the flags, right? So I really like that effect when I use the high-res shot mode. And, you know, and then I do some processing to kind of make it look a little more, you know, colorful. But this came out really nice. And this is, you know, this is a high-res shot mode, so there's a lot of detail, you know, everywhere. And this is uncropped. You know, this is the full 50 megapixels. I didn't have to crop it. This is exactly how it was framed. So this came out pretty good. And then let's see, I had this one. This was also a high-res shot mode, but this is not the high-res shot version. This is one I share on social media because I can't share 50 megapixels, you know, on Instagram, for example, and some other sites that I post to. I will post the 50 megapixel version to Flickr shortly. But you see what I mean? I was standing right up here so I could get the whole ship in the shot. You know, when I was doing the fisheye picture, the panorama, because if I tried to stand back a little bit, then all of this kind of comes in and it doesn't look good. So, you know, this is probably one of the first shots I took when I got there. And then I started working the scene and walking around the different angles and things, trying to get that in. Oh, here's the full high-res version. So as you can see, again, you know, lots of nice detail. There were no flags, so I didn't get any motion blur up here. But, you know, overall, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. It exposed really well. I didn't have to do too much with exposure. I just pushed the shadows a little bit and then desaturated some of the yellow because it was a really strong tungsten yellow coming off these lights, which to my eye was a little bit overpowering. And then this one is also high-res shot mode. And this is a straight out of camera JPEG using a custom color profile that I made, which basically all it does is desaturate the blue a little bit and saturate the oranges, right? To give it a more vintage look, I guess is the way to put it. I hate to say film look because there's no way to replicate film. But the other interesting thing about this picture is I used the, I have it here. I used the vintage Pen-F lens from a film Pen-F camera. Where is it? This one. This is off the original Pen-F camera made for half frame film camera, and it has, you know, a really short adapter on it. That's the adapter, So it fits nice and flush up against the camera. So let me take off the 75 to 300. And this is with the vintage 25 millimeters. So of course manual focus and aperture here. And it's really easy, you know, with focus peaking and punch-in magnification. It's really easy to get focus. And it starts at f4, so there's not much, you don't have to worry too much about depth of field. Yeah, this is a really, really sharp lens. As you can see from this image, it's really sharp, so it works with high-res shot mode just fine. And this lens costs, I guess I paid, I think I paid $100 for it. I can't remember. I think I paid $100 for it. I don't know what they sell for now, but it was well worth it because it looks really good on the camera. You know, so aesthetically it's very pleasing, ergonomically because of the short flange distance on the adapter. It fits the OM3 and the Pen F really nicely. And, you know, like I said, it's very easy to manually focus these anymore. And I thought this came out really, really, really nice. And I have a few more shots with this lens in here. I haven't shared them yet though, or I haven't finished editing them because, like I said, I just got back this morning. But that's what I did this morning. Here's one I did. There was a catbird. I think there's a catbird. Well, no, this might be a mockingbird. But anyway, whatever it is. This is with the 75 to 300 at 300 millimeters. I believe this was ISO 12,800. So it cleaned up really nicely with DxO though. So yeah, I like this shot. I tried so many times to get pictures of this bird flying, but I just couldn't. The light was just a little bit too low, and I was getting dirty looks because the birds were perched on the lampposts and in the trees, which were right in front of an apartment complex, you know, which was all glass, right? So you can see right into everybody's apartments. So it looked like I was telephotoing, you know, taking pictures of people in their apartments at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning. It was about 6:30 in the morning at that point. So I felt a little creepy doing it. So I didn't get to, you know, and that's not really a place to be birding anyway. But because someone actually walked up to me, "What are you taking pictures of?" You know, I was like, "Oh, you see that bird sitting on the lamppost right there?" You know, in front of the apartment complex, you know. But even at 6 in the morning, right? Like, just some rando walks by and questions what I'm taking pictures of. It's just, street photography is really challenging around here because people are so suspicious of everything and just on you about it. It's really a pain. Anyway, I gotta turn on the AC. It's getting hot in here with all these lights on. Okay. So that's that. Let's see. And Marco is here. Good to see you, Marco. And how many cups of Maxwell? Just one cup. This is my second cup here of coffee. And I switched over to a lighter brew. You know, like the breakfast blend, it was some Amazon Prime breakfast blend coffee for a couple of reasons, which surprised me, right? One is you get, when you roast them, you have to roast them longer to make them darker. So dark roasts are generally basically burnt. And then, you know, you have medium roast, which is what Maxwell House is. And Maxwell House has a mix of a couple of different kinds of beans in it. There's the cheaper bean, which has a little bit more caffeine, a little bit stronger flavor, but not quite as smooth. And then the other bean, Colombian beans, which just about every coffee is, right? And then this one, this breakfast blend is 100% Colombian, but it's not roasted quite as much. So you get the breakfast blend, very light roast. But you get a couple of benefits. It's a little smoother to drink, right? Not as bitter, because I normally drink my coffee black. You also get a little more caffeine in it, and you get a higher level of antioxidants. At least that's what I've read. Don't quote me on that. Do your own research. But apparently the light roast blend coffee is better overall in terms of, the reasons you might drink coffee other than just for the caffeine. And oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Nice ship. I need to figure out why. Let me see. See if I can get the chat to show the messages. Okay, there it goes. As things change every week, I don't know why. And I love the Moody Wheel steering shell. Oh, thank you. And there are a lot of snowshoe hares this year. Okay. Spent the morning laying on my lawn photographing snowshoe hares. That's cool. The next lens on my list might be the Pro 8-25 f4. Yeah, that's a great lens. A lot of people have that lens. I love the range and the fact that it's rectilinear and that it goes all the way out to 8 millimeters. I wonder if I have a 7-14 f4, so I'm not sure I really need to get that lens because I already have a wide enough lens. Come to think of it, the 7-14 would have been a good lens to take this morning. But the 8 millimeter fisheye is a 1.8, so it's like a full 2 1/3 stops faster. So I just used the fisheye lens because it was low light. I think I made the right choice. If it was daytime though, I think the 7-14 f4 might have been a better choice. But since it was dawn, there was not much light. Thomas is here, checking in from Decatur, Georgia, where it's 31 Celsius. Okay. That sounds warm. That sounds really warm. And good morning, Roger. Rob, what was the name of the free program that you suggested I use to make prints with multiple photos? Honestly, I'm not sure. A free program that I suggest to use to make prints with multiple photos. Oh, okay. I know what you might be talking about. Photoscape. I'll just type it in the chat here. Photoscape. That way you can create collages very easily. And dark roast has less acid. I use dark roast, but use less amount. Okay. Makes sense. And good morning, Heather. Good to see you. No matcha? No, not yet. Later I'll have some matcha. Normally I have matcha before I get on the stream. Then I'm doing all right. But I was sitting here editing photos, and matcha takes a little bit longer to kick in. But once it does, it stays longer. And a cup of Sumatra. Cool. And Photoscape is the one with collages. Okay, very good. So let me share a couple of more images from my trip on Friday. I went to Annapolis and again used my OM3. What is this? The OM3 with the 12-45 Pro. This was basically straight out of camera, if I recall. No, it's not. No, I processed this. But uh, I did separate the reds here and the greens. So I made the reds very, very dark and the greens lighter. So effectively used the green filter. And then I made it nice and crispy from here. This is an okay shot. I mean, I'm not too happy with it, to be honest, but it's okay. Um, a lot of times I share images that, honestly, I'm not crazy about any of my photos, not very often. Uh, but this one, I like to look back at my compositions and thought process on every photo that I take. Well, not every photo, but every photo that I share, I share it specifically kind of 50-50, 50%, so you guys can look at it, 50% so I can look at it and analyze it and see what I liked about this photo, because there's really good elements in this photo. We have a nice geometric pattern in the background with the window frame. We have the reflection from the glass. And they have this beautiful foreground of color, and in this case, I converted to black and white. So there's a lot of good elements here, but I just could not get a composition that I felt was adequate for this scene. Maybe there isn't one to be had here, but all the same, this is one where I really have to think hard about. This is sort of a analysis photo more so than just a photo, like trying to capture a moment or anything like that. This is more about self-reflection on composition. This one here, I was having breakfast and I just looked out the window behind me and took this picture. And then I applied a Nik Collection art filter to it. I kind of like that grungy look. I thought it fit this scene pretty well. And this is, your typical frame within a frame composition. Nice straight lines and geometry. Nice little accents too. Like there's a person over here cleaning the window. I like that. Over here. And then we have these flower pots up front and this, whatever this truck is over here. So there's a lot of interesting elements in the photo, plus along with all the flags and shops here on the side. So this is this is a typical scene in Annapolis, including this little Navy window sticker here, because the U.S. Naval Academy is right about 1 block over from here. So there's a lot of elements here that are very typical of Annapolis. And this was kind of a neat scene. I didn't compose it perfectly, but I did like how the ducks were all kind of lining up where the shadow is of the beams, right? So this duck is in the shadow, this duck is in the shadow, and this duck is in the shadow. They're just trying to get out of the hot sun because it was about 90 degrees outside. And, of course, in the water, there's no shade at all. So this is where they were standing to get a little nap, I guess. I don't know. And this is a typical house you see in Annapolis, or downtown Annapolis, I should say, Old Town. And it's, who knows how old this thing is. It's pretty old. For the United States, that is. If something is 200 years old in the US, that's like ancient. I know in the UK and stuff, you got like 600-year-old castles out there, but for me, this is a very old house. This little antique shop, I thought there was some nice colors here and some interesting elements just to kind of look around, but there's nothing particularly special about this image. I didn't get the symmetry done too well. But it's just this kind of is also typical of Annapolis. There's a lot of little specialized shops when you walk around. And I only got a few shots of the shops. I didn't really stay very long. Really intent was just to get some breakfast there. But we did walk around for about 30 minutes and got a few shots. I went with a friend of mine. Let's see. And then, okay, I'll get to these other pictures next. Let me see. There's been some chat here. Lighter roast tastes too weak for me. Yeah, they are lighter, but I kind of like that now. I don't know. I've been drinking Maxwell House and dark roast for so long. It's kind of a nice change. Um, and Darko asks, can the OM3 be the one and only street and wildlife setup? What lenses would you pick up other than 75 to 300 if you were building a kit for the first time? Oh, that's easy. Yeah, the 75 to 300, the 40 to 150 kit lens, and the 14 to 42 zoom lens, kit zoom. If not the kit zoom, a better choice would be the 12 to 45 because you can get it for like 300 bucks when you add it as a kit to the OM3. Oh, that's my EM1. But when you add the 12 to 45 as a kit lens, it's only $300 more, which is a steal. So the 12 to 45 f4 Pro, the 40 to 150, and the 75 to 300. Those are my core lenses. And then if you want to specialize a little bit, the 60 millimeter macro would be next. And then after that, some fisheye lens. It doesn't have to be the 8 millimeter fisheye Pro because that's pretty pricey. But any fisheye lens, manual focus is fine. That you can get for between $100 and $200. A fisheye lens on top of that, and you're set. The only gap in your total setup would be something between 7 millimeters and 12 millimeters, right? Because a lot of times I do like to shoot wide, because you're asking me what would I start with, right? For me, it would be the fisheye lens. If it's the 8 millimeter fisheye pro lens, I can remove the distortion and get a rectilinear 8 millimeters focal length, rectilinear. But and that would solve my gap for the most part, because from 8 to 12 millimeters, it is quite a bit of difference. But in practice, I don't shoot much below 12 millimeters unless it's ultra wide, like 7 or 8 millimeters, or 4 millimeters or 6 millimeters, really, really wide, circular fisheye type stuff. So that's the direction I would go, and I would be totally set. So on the wide end, an 8 millimeter or a fisheye, a 60 macro for close up, and then the 12 to 45 Pro, the 40 to 150 kit lens, and the 75 to 300. And if you have the 75 to 300, you can almost skip the 40 to 150. Almost. The reason I say almost is because the 40 to 150 is so small. I much prefer taking it if I know I'm not going to be doing any kind of birding. Because unless I'm doing birding, rarely do I need to zoom more than 150 millimeters. I'll zoom out to 100 a lot, right? But 150, not between 100 and 150, I feel like I'm never going to get close enough anyway. So I do find myself taking the 40 to 150 occasionally when I don't feel like, I know I'm not going to do any birding. So I don't need to take a 300 millimeter telephoto. But yeah, so you're looking at what, 500 bucks brand new for a 75 to 300. Let's say 200 for the 40 to 150, so you're at 700. And then 2000, right now it's on sale, the OM3 with the 12 to 45. So you're at 2,700. And then a 60 macro you can get for about 400. So you're at 31. And then a fisheye, let's say another 200. So you're at $4,300 for a fully fleshed out kit. Add a flash or two, you're at about 4,500 if you want to get a decent flash. But then you can do everything with that. And Peter asked, do you have any experience with the pro versions of the OM Prime lenses? The only OM Prime that I have is the 8mm fisheye and the 300mm f4 Pro. I assume you're asking me about like the 17, the 25, and the 45 Pro lenses. And I've only tried out the 25 one time. And of course it's wonderfully sharp, but I don't see, for me, I don't see any reason to buy the Pro Primes because they're insanely expensive right now. And they offer a tiny bit more light, like 2/3 of a stop over the 1.8s. They're certainly sharper and optically superior, but I don't see a need for that in any situation. Even my professional work, if I'm doing event photography, I use a zoom lens. If I was doing portrait photography, I would either use the 25 or the 45 1.8. But honestly, a lot of times I use my 12 to 45 for portraits because I don't need that shallow depth of field. Usually I use flash and then use exposure to separate the subject. But the short answer is I don't really have a lot of experience with it. I shot with the 25 1.2 a couple of times when I went to visit Ben, may he rest in peace. And it was okay. I mean, I didn't see anything that would make me want to get it so much more than I already had, which was a 25 1.8. And JP says, I picked up the OM1 film camera and F-Zuiko 51.8. I put it side by side with my OM3 and 25mm 1.8. The OM3 is about 10% bigger, a little wider, and a little thicker. So, yeah, it's a tiny bit taller, wider. All right, hold on. It's a tiny bit taller, tiny bit thicker, right? In those two dimensions. But the width, believe it or not, is roughly the same. The OM1 film camera only feels smaller because what's making it wider are the hinges. So, should be right here. Bessa. It's not. Unless I put it in here. Hold on. All right, so here's the OM1 with a 51.8, right? And then 25, I think it's on my Pen F. This is a 25 1.8. Now I have a grip on my OM3, which I don't really feel like taking off, but I know this has been done before, but I thought since we're live, why not, right? Okay. So let me reset this. Ooh, this battery's weak. let's go ahead and just measure the width. I want to make sure I don't get so for dang it. The digital scale is not working because of the battery, but I'm at 140 something here. So without moving anything, let me lock it. The OM1, you'll notice, is the exact same width. The OM1 film camera as the OM3. See, it fits. Even if let me get it all the way there. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Maybe just a half a millimeter there difference. Well, that's because I got the door off. But for all intents and purposes, the width of the OM1 is exactly the same as the OM3. And then when it comes to height, we have to go to the top of the prism to, well, this has the, I have to measure it from here. I can't measure it because the case is on here. We'll guesstimate it. There. So yeah, it's a couple of millimeters. The OM3 is about just a tiny bit taller than the OM1. So width and height, but the biggest difference is really in the thickness, right? The girth here. The girth, this is the OM1. This is generally the girth of the grip, right? The grip area. Now I could measure out to the lens mount. You know, that's where you should measure it, is from the front of the prism to the back. But let's just measure the girth here of the grip area. This is where there's a humongous difference, is right there. You can see. So we'll do it in reverse. If I do this, whoops. Okay, lock that. This is where the biggest difference is. See, there's almost a centimeter there in difference in the girth, and that's why the OM3 feels so much bulkier than an OM1. Is because of the thickness of the body itself, not counting the lens mount and the prism, right? But just the thickness of the body. But as you can see, width and height, not much difference. And then when you measure it with the lens, yeah, with the lens, both of these are actually about the same, right? In terms of length, but these are absolute dimensions from one side to the other side, but actual feel of the camera, which camera feels smaller and lighter or feels smaller. The OM1 feels a lot smaller, mainly because of the thickness here in the girth. But anyway, you know, and this kind of leads me back to the OM3 got a lot of the same hate as the Lumix L10 is getting right now when it was launched. The OM3 got mostly hate because it wasn't a Pen F, but people are saying that's not a small camera. It goes against what Micro Four Thirds is all about, etc., etc. People thought it was too big because it's not a Pen F. It's bigger than the Pen F. But in practice, it's not that much difference, okay? Both cameras, whether it's my Pen F or this OM3, you're going to have to sling, you know, or wrist strap carry it, however you guys like to carry your cameras. It's not pocketable. None of these are. And the L10 is bigger than the LX100 Mark II, but neither one was really a pocketable camera, right? The LX100 Mark II, the DLX8, the new L10, none of these are truly pocketable cameras. The X100 VI, not really pocketable. Yeah, you can put it in your coat pocket. You might be able to jam it into your pants pocket. But in practice, you know, you should really wear a strap or use a wrist strap, right, with it. Don't carry it in your pocket. Okay. The flowers through the windows has a great painterly look about them. Okay, thanks. And the window scene really looks like a painting. Yeah, it, you know, I really like the Nik Collection Sinister art filter that's in their HDR module. I use that on a lot of images that are not HDR. I don't share them as often as I share like my normal photos, but I like to do it. And Rob, I see you're using Nik Collection more and more. What is your favorite module? The HDR module. Because it's very functional and has a lot of nice filters in it. So even if you don't use it for HDR, you can use the filters that it has, the art filters. They call them presets, but you know what I mean. So I really like Nik HDR. That's my favorite. And John, good to see you. Been watching the Grand Prix. Okay, nice. And thanks for the tip on the Digi Air 128 EHS2. Got mine. Awesome, Thomas. Yeah, that's what I'm using. I've been using this like crazy. I just used all the images. So you can't get them anymore. They're sold out. But it was a 128 gig V60 card for $50. They're gone. Yeah, earlier in the week. Yep. And Darko asks, on the OM3, how good a concert/band photography camera is that? And what lens would you pick for that? Ooh, well, concert photography, it really depends on where you are, right? But for most staged performances, I use the 40-150 kit lens, the f4 to f5.6. Another good lens that you can get pretty cheap, like around $400, is the 35-100 Panasonic f2.8. This lens is excellent. You can get the original version. You can tell because this has a red dot on it. This is going to be the cheapest one of all the ones they have. There's been like two or three versions after this, but this one is excellent. 35-100 f2.8. This is an awesome lens for concert type photography. Now, if you want to do event photography in general, I think the 12-100 f4 is the best lens. But if you need absolute best light, either the 75-1.8, the 45-1.8, and the 25-1.8, those three lenses, you know, all the 1.8 primes. But it's best to try to use a zoom. So I like the 35-100 2.8 for low light indoor photography. I've been using the 45 for street, oddly enough. It's a good lens. It is a very good lens, yes. And Tanva asks, hi Rob, for a small alternative wide angle lens, the 9-18 zoom is also a nice choice. Yes. Thank you for reminding me about that lens. That is a very, very nice lens. You know, about half the price of the 8-25 f4, but not half the image quality, or half the aperture, right? It has a pretty similar aperture. I think maybe it's a 3.5 to 5.6 or something. The aperture is not that far off. It's like within a stop of an 8-25. What you give up is the optical quality of the 8-25 is unrefuted, right? It is going to be better, but ultimately, the 918 is an excellent lens. I totally forgot about that one. And ATR Bear, good morning. And Adam is here. Good morning. Which one is lighter? I'm guessing the OM3. That's a good question. You're going to make me take the grip off because I can't weigh it with the grip on there. But I'll go get a scale. All right. There's an on button here somewhere. Okay. So my OM1, oops, breaking my shit here. Anyway, OM1 with a 50 millimeter. We'll do this in what, grams? Okay, in grams. So 668 grams like this. And let me take off the strap. I think the grip is about 100 grams, but let's see how far off we are. This is 710 grams. I gotta put the memory card in. Well, the OM1 didn't have film, so we'll call it even. But I'm gonna take off my grip. I need my tool. Where is it? Guess I can use a guitar pick. Not really. I can't use a coin because coin is a little bit too big. Oh, there we go. I got it. All right. Ooh, the OM3 is a bit lighter with the 25. 642 grams. So about 20 grams lighter, and I got a few grams here with the strap lugs here. How much is this memory card? Memory card doesn't even read, it's less than 1 gram. Okay. This is 64 grams for this grip. I guess I can measure the height now, right? From the top of the prism. Let's see. Okay. About 100 and... I'm sorry, it's right around 90 millimeters, whatever. Let's see. Oh, I guesstimated it. It looks like the OM3 is roughly 2 or 3. So my guesstimate before was about right. I just kind of eyeballed it, you know. Anyway. All right. Let's see. And Coxcom is here. Good to see you. And the Great Vanzini. Wow, that's a pretty big difference in thickness, yes. And bring back the XZ2 with a new sensor and ooh, that would be cool. But they kind of have with the TG7, right? The TG7 is it's a good replacement, except the TG7 doesn't have the flip screen. So if they could put like a micro four thirds sensor in an XZ2, that would be pretty sweet. And an XZ1 revamp would work too, yep. And good morning, Butters. Good morning. And Eric, good to see you. Rob, can you think of any picturesque diner in our area? There's a few. You're more on the Maryland side, but I will give you one that I think I forget what it's called though. I know where it is, so I'm just going to Google map it so you can see it. You know, of course, there's Silver Diner, right? I've always liked the Silver Diner in Tyson's. There's a Silver Diner out off of Route 50 that's brand new, that's pretty nice. It's kind of a really super modern version. This one off of, this is off of 50, but in Arlington, I believe. Oh, this place has terrible. I had the worst hamburger ever. But it's got a 4.3 star rating. So Bob and Edith's Diner. And then there's one that's let me think. I think it's off of, is it off Little River? Yeah, Jukebox Diner. This one is pretty nice too. So the Jukebox Diner, I believe this is Arlington. That's the outside. Not too impressive, but inside is pretty nice. They did a good job on the inside. So it depends if you want to take pictures inside or outside. And then the Silver Diner way out here is pretty good. Gosh, is it out in Aldi? Let me see. Hopefully they have a picture of it because it's pretty new. Is that the one off of, no, that's off of 7. This one's pretty similar. This is, yeah, this one and the other one, these are like the brand new versions of the diner. These are pretty nice. These would look really good at night. But I guess it depends on what style you're looking for, right? The Silver Diners are very modern now. The Bob and Eva's Diner and the other one, they're a little bit more retro looking. And there was a really cool diner really far south of here, but the guy retired and now it's a tractor company or something, which is a shame. It was a really, really nice diner. I had pictures of that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It had a car on top of it. Let's see if there's, let's see how good the AI is here. Yeah. Yeah, this is the diner. They're gone now, unfortunately. This was really, really nice at night. And inside they had different themes. There's me, right? Uh, so I think anyway, this one is gone now, unfortunately. But those are the only ones I can think of. Hopefully that helps some. And glad you brought the card to our attention. I bought 2 right away from your link when I heard you talk about those. Hope you got credit. I assume so. I did see 6 sales on that card, like because there were 6. I don't see them when somebody buys just like 1 or 2. I don't see those, but when somebody buys 6 of them, I see that. Just a rough guesstimate is good. Okay, and it had been close to hard to tell by hand. Let me see if I can feel 20 grams. No, I would say these were the same if I had to just kind of guess. This does feel a tiny bit heavier. I think I can feel the 20 grams. But now but now I know it's 20 grams more, so I don't know. Confirmation bias. Oh, my Pen F is right here. This is definitely lighter and smaller, right? Because this thing, when you want to talk about height, look at the difference in height between the Pen F and the OM1 and the OM3. It's huge. And then width and all of that, yeah, and girth, right? The thickness is not thin. So this is definitely a way smaller camera. Okay. You play guitar? I used to. Not anymore. I think it's been more than 10 years since I picked up a guitar. I stopped playing guitar after I got into photography. You know, I can only handle one hobby at a time. Is new Nike compelling enough to pay for an upgrade? I assume you mean the new Nikon. What? I don't, yeah, you have to be a little more specific. The new Nike. You have to be more specific. Sorry. And hello, Baker Man 2. Good to see you. It's been a while. And the Silver Diner at BW Airport. Oh. Yeah, I've seen the Bob and Ediths. Those are great. Yeah, the Silver Diner at BWI. Really? Let's look at that one. Uh, where's BWI again? It's off of 95 or BWI Parkway. Oh, there it is. Okay, search this area. Oh, that's indoors though. This one. That's pretty cool. An indoor Silver Diner in the airport. Pretty slick. Oops, I'm sorry. Hold on. That's what I meant to show you. This one right here. That's pretty cool. That's this. I assume that's the Silver Diner you mean at BWI. Okay. And oh, thank you, Shri. I appreciate that. Yeah, you were out till almost 3 in the morning. And then you went to bed, and then I actually woke up a little bit after 3 this morning so I could get out to the sunset or sunrise. Oh, the DxO Nick. Okay. Um, yeah. I mean, if you already have DxO 8, I wouldn't get DxO 9. you know, if you have the previous version, I'm not sure what version we're on. Let me see what version I was using. I'm using version 9. If you have 8, 8 is fine. The only thing 9 adds, I think, is some AI masking stuff. I'd wait for version 10 if you have version 8 right now. Or even version 7. 7, 8 are fine. 6, I can't remember. But version 7 and 8 are pretty good. Version 9 is better, but not enough to spend the $100 and some for the upgrade, in my opinion. I know DxO doesn't like me saying that, but it's okay. I have to be just my opinion, right? I just have to tell you what my opinion is, and be honest about it. Okay. All right, so let me share a couple of more pictures. We got a little bit of a break here. Okay, so this picture, this is before I went to Annapolis to have breakfast. I went to Sandy Point Park. This is using LiveND 64, so I was able to get a 60. This is a 60-second exposure. So I used LiveND 64. I did F16 to help me get there, but also because I wanted deep depth of field. And you know, then this is your typical long exposure. I was on a tripod. There's no way I could hold a camera for 60 seconds. But this came out okay. Wasn't crazy about this one, but it's okay. This one I really like though. If it'll open up. Oh, the hard drive's got to spin up. Hold on. And I think Heather's here. I emailed your picture. I needed to delete it off my thing here. This one came out pretty good. This is, I think this is a 15-second exposure. This is also on a tripod, F16 ISO 100. Again, OM3 and 12 to 45 Pro. But with this image here, whenever you're doing a sunrise, sunset, particularly 2-minute exposures, because the sun moves fast enough that it might look a little bit weird. The blur from the sun there, but it's not bad. But what we really wanted, we got just enough motion blur in the water to smooth it out, but still get some texture. And the colors and the lighting, I thought this, I don't know, I'm happy with this image. Clearly I need to clean my sensor though. I see a sensor spot here, here, and here. All right, and then let's see, this one was also really good. So obviously the sun has risen quite a bit. Let's see the difference in time. This was taken at 4:49. This was not a long exposure. This was 1/500th of a second. Now I was shooting in full manual the whole time. This is with the 75 to 300 lens though, at 187 millimeters. So I wanted the compression to give me this shot so that the sun was larger in the frame. I was trying to time it so that I could get a nice bird or something, near the sun or covering the sun, like a seagull. But all I got are a few dots back here in the background. But this was a sunrise, and with a little bit of compression because I used the 75 to 300. Continuing on with the 75 to 300, this one it took me a lot of shots, but I finally got one where the bird was right over the top of the lighthouse, and the wings were in a position that I liked. So this took quite a few tries to get this shot, and I was using, of course, continuous shutter, probably 25 frames per second, to capture the bird as it was flying past the lighthouse And then after a couple of tries, I got one where the bird was right over the top and the wings were open in a way that I liked. So there's that one. And then this one here is with the 75 to 300. There was a couple of ospreys out there fishing. So I was able to grab one here. There's no way I would have caught the osprey diving in because they were catching the fish way out in the middle of the Potomac. You know, they were just too far away. But they were flying back to their nest, and their nest was behind me. So I was able to capture them as they flew back to bring the food back to the nest. So that was kind of cool. So I was ready for them, and I got this shot, which is about as perfect as you can get, you know, given the gear and everything that I had and where I was standing. And then let's see, there's this one here. This one, I waited for the ship to get centered underneath the sunrise. Nothing special, but just a wide pano. You know, not a pano, but I cropped it to a panoramic size, or aspect ratio, I should say. But yeah, a nice little cargo ship sailing up towards Baltimore, I assume. And then here's a black and white, another black and white I did of just all the seagulls. So this one, the seagulls were all, there was probably hundreds of them sitting on the shore. So I walked up to them very, very slowly. And as I got closer, they would just kind of walk a little bit further away from me. But at one point they decided, you know, I was close enough and they took off flying. And when they took off flying, I just grabbed a few snaps, and then I probably grabbed 20 or 30 frames, and then I picked this one out of all the frames I captured as my favorite. And then finally, last but not least, this is a panoramic, so this is 5 images stitched together. I used the 12 to 45 Pro, and oh crap, I gotta go get the door. But anyway, the EXIF data, yeah, f11, ISO 80, 0.6 seconds, because I wanted to get some motion blur in the water. So I wanted to do a long exposure panorama. Okay, sorry, I need to check something. Oh, Amazon delivery. I'm checking my camera. So that's the Amazon guy delivering. Okay. There's that. Let's see what we have. Check out the Almax at the river. Okay, Massachusetts. Yes, it's quite large. I see it every time I'm at BWI. Okay. I'm so close to getting an OM3. A little price drop might get me there. It's pretty cheap now, $16.99, and you can find them used for like 12 to 14 in that price range. So it's pretty reasonable. But if you're thinking like $1,000, yeah, you might have to wait a little bit. You probably have to wait. But right now on eBay, they're not too bad. Yeah, here's one. Oh, that's 140 deliveries, so it's about 13. $17. Wow. I mean, you can buy them from OM System for $15.99 or refurbished. You can get it with the lens for 18. That's a good deal. But brand new is about 160 more. And then this one, there's a $140 delivery. So this is probably coming from China or something. Oh, it's coming from Japan. So you can get them from Japan for about, if you add 140 to that, that would be 1,400. So about 1,400 bucks. So 14 used and 17 new, 2,000 with the lens. I guess it's still kind of up there, isn't it? Yeah. And Andreas is here. Good to see you. And how do you get a pano shot stitched together where any movement in the clouds or water is not a problem? That's a good question. I do get stitching problems in the water sometimes that I fix with a healing brush, right? So I don't know if I still have it here. I think I stitched it in Photoshop. Yeah, I'll try and pull it up and I'll show you. I'll show you a very common stitching problem, particularly with with water and skies. I don't see them as often, but I do get them time to time. But they're really easy to fix. The problem is like power lines and things like that. Those are a little bit trickier. Like when I'm at Conowingo Dam, you have to be really, really careful with power lines. And that's why I use this other tripod that I have if I want to do any kind of panorama stitching. And, you know, I have a lot of straight lines, like power lines, windows, things like that, that have to line up perfectly. I'm very, very careful about the actual initial capture, you know, setting my nodal point, making sure things are level, all of that stuff. So here's the original. I just used Lightroom or Photoshop. But there is a stitching line somewhere in here that, yeah, this is, there was a stitching line right there. So if I delete that, now, is there any more? There's a stitching line here. Oh, that was a sensor spot, but it's really hard to see. But there's a stitching line right here. This, I think, is a sensor spot, but there's a stitching line going down right here. It's a little easier to see when I zoom out. So I just grabbed the healing brush and now it's gone. And if you don't have Photoshop Lightroom like healing brush, there's a lot of photo editors. They have some very simple healing brush tools that you can use. Check out MPB for the, oh, that's a good idea. Okay, so yeah, they're at this price point, I'd buy brand new and get a warranty. You know, like a 1 year or 2 year, whatever the warranty is. They have, those are like new, like new. God, there's so many here. Here's one in excellent condition. Here's one like new. So 1,500 from MPB with a 6-month warranty. And watch the OM system when they have 20% off. Yeah, I did post that a couple of weeks ago when they were having, or maybe a month ago now. They were asking, let's see, I still have my post here, I'm sure. Yeah, right here. I posted, this was 3 weeks ago. You have to act fast though. It was $1279.99 for an OM3 refurb. OM1 for $769 or 68. I mean, these three cameras right here, those are smoking deals when they have their 20% off. So keep an eye on my post on my community page, because when I see a particularly good deal like that memory card, when the 20% off deal is going, I try to post them. Actually, let me share one with you now. I didn't post this yet. Let me see if it's still available. I almost bought it myself. I was this close. Really, really close. It's gone. I'm going to look one more time. Yep, it's gone. Too bad. I knew I should have bought it. No, I shouldn't have bought the L10. I definitely don't need to buy this camera. It was a Panasonic G9 Mark II with a 12-60 kit lens for $12.99, brand new, with manufacturer warranty and everything. But I don't see it now. It's gone. I'm going to try one more time because I want to give you guys the link to this. Okay. Oh, maybe it's here. Hold on. I'm sparing you the screen scrolling because I'm scrolling a lot here. And I'll put the link in the chat section. If it's still available. It's gone. Damn. It was a G9 Mark II with 12-60 for $12.99, brand new. So that's the S5. Another S5. Another S5. Sorry guys, it's gone. It was right in here for $12.99, but it's gone now. Anyhow, $12.99, G9 Mark II, 12-60, brand new. And I was like, that close. That close. And I said, you know what? I have an OM3 and an OM1. When am I ever going to take a G9? Probably never. And I got the L10 coming. So next week, though, I'll get the L10. It should be coming in next. I think they're set to deliver on June 17th. They're going to send them out. And I put my order in pretty early, like the very next day after the launch. So hopefully I got mine reserved and ready to go. Yeah, 20% off. But check my community page for a link. I'm an affiliate for eBay, which is where they sell the OM System Outlet stuff. Oh, you would have jumped on that, huh? Damn, sorry about that. I meant to post that. It's definitely gone. I'm gonna look one more time. S52. And one more box coming, whatever this is. S1. Yeah. Definitely gone. What are you gonna do? All right, and you're gonna check out KEH2. Okay. So let me check one other place here for some other stuff. If there's anything I needed to share. Oh, this is an interesting image here. So this image here, this is on my Flickr page, but I was able to shoot this. This is a common yellowthroat female with my 300mm f4 with the 1.4 TC versus the 75 to 300. Now on its own, the 75 to 300 over here on the right looks pretty good because this is at ISO 6400. But when you look at it compared to the 300, and the 300 has the teleconverter on it, so I did get a few more pixels on the subject than I did with the 75 to 300. But there's a pretty distinctive difference between a pro lens and a non-pro. As you would expect. But that's not too bad, right? For 75 to 300 that you can get for 500 bucks instead of $3,000 for this setup over here. And I think I showed these last week. If I check the timestamp, this was on, yeah, the 7th. And the 7th was a Sunday. So yeah, I would have shared these last week, I think. Just some swallows and typical Huntley Meadows stuff. You know. Oh, that's my buddy. That's who I went on a photo walk with. All right. And this I took, this is the raw on the 7th at 7:40. I may not have shared this one. This one is a high-res shot mode. You know, just a nice little landscape shot. High-res shot mode, 12 to 45 OM3. I just like that one. But anyway, those were last week. I think I shared those already. It looks like my chat window has stopped moving. That's curious. I wonder why my chat window doesn't move anymore. It used to work all the time. Now it looks like it's stuck. So I guess we don't even need it, right? If it's not going to work. Okay, I don't see any other questions or comments. Maybe we'll just call it early today. If that's even possible. Test. You guys can see me, right? I'm really good at standing still though. So it looks like the I should have like something moving in the background so you guys know I'm live, because sometimes I get into a staring contest with my monitor, and It doesn't, it looks like the screen froze up. But okay, we'll call it. I didn't see any more comments or questions. I think actually there was something I watched this morning, and they were comparing the OM. They were trying to the everyday cameras. They were testing, not testing. They were trying to grade the everyday cameras, and the OM3 came out in the A tier as an everyday camera. Because they had S tier. Let me see if I can find that video. Let me guys know what you think of this. Well, I'll give you the video and then you guys can watch it later. And we can talk about it maybe next week. Where's my history? It wasn't that long ago. It was this morning. Here it is. So it's this video here. I'll give you the link to it. It's an hour long. Just skip to the end. But this wasn't bad. Full Stack Creator with Tyler Stallman. It's an interesting watch to see other people's perspective on a lot of the cameras we're all familiar with. But they put the OM3 A tier, and then they put the X100 VI and the Q3 in S tier. But those two cameras are fixed lens, fixed focal length. So they almost automatically get deleted, you know, or those are deal breakers for me as a fixed focal length. I much prefer cameras with interchangeable lens or zoom lens built in, like the L10 has. So hopefully I'll have the L10 in by the next week's stream. But otherwise, you guys, thanks everyone for watching. You guys have a great weekend. Eat healthy and exercise. Try to have a good day every day. You'll have a good life. And I hope to see you